Hey everybody, Soul and Shinola here. So here's what happens when you drop an iPhone 4 onto a hard tile floor. As you can see, the screen is shattered.
Nice and cracked.
Close inspection, it is pretty bad. You slide your finger across it, it will cut you, and little pieces of glass fall off.
Well,
so what do you do when this is the situation? Well, you could buy a whole new phone, or you can go out and buy a brand new replacement screen and Digitizer.
On Amazon.com.
This one I picked up off Amazon.com. Picked it up for $30, $29.95, and it is the screening Digitizer combo.
And make sure you get the one that comes with
and it comes with a little toolkit with the tools. They say that's all you'll need to actually build this unit and actually repair it. So here's what's in the kit.
So what comes in the kit?
Over here you have the screen and Digitizer combo. This is what will actually make the phone function properly.
Doesn't come
with two connecting wires down below. There is a standard small Phillips screwdriver, which you'd find in any kind of watch repair kit or any micro screwdriver kit. There's also a star driver that would be used for 2 of the screws on the outside of the case. And that's a case opener, puller, if you will. We'll see that in action later.
Suction cup.
Then they include this little suction cup to, I guess, maneuver the screen, but I never use it in the demonstration here. Now, one of the first things you need to do is pop the SIM card out, and they don't provide a tool for that because all it takes is a paper clip, a large paper clip. You just take it and you put it in the hole, and you find it the sweet spot, and then it'll just pop out the SIM card just like that. Pull it out. The phone should be powered off at this point, not on, so go ahead and shut the phone back down. I just fat fingered it, hit the button, turned it on. Next, you're going to grab the star tip screwdriver and use that on the 2 screws on the bottom, right where the power plug and the sync cable plug in. Be careful with this. Make sure you get a nice secure connection between the screwdriver and the screws, or you will strip them out. Now you want to keep in mind that these screws are really small. Look at that guy there. They're really small, and that's one of the bigger screws that you're going to find here. So you're going to want to make sure you keep them in a secure location off to the side and keep them in order, and I'll show you that in a little bit here, how I kept them in order throughout this process. Now the next thing you want to do is you want to slip the back cover off. So you're going to do that by flipping it over and pushing up gently on the back cover until it gives a little bit, and then it should lift right off. Now the next step is to unscrew the battery connector screws, which are located on either side of the connector. And what you're going to do, it's just the one screw, and I'm going to use a magnetized screwdriver for this. The ones that come in the kit, they're subpar. They're really not useful. You want to get yourself a good set of micro drivers. You can get them in a jewelry shop, or you can get them at a computer repair store, somewhere like that. And I would recommend using that. It would make the job a lot easier. So once you remove these screws, now keep in mind these things are really small, as you can see here. Not much bigger than the tip of the screwdriver. Be very careful where you place them and keep them in order. And like I said, I'll show you how to do that. Next thing you're going to want to do is to pry up on the connector. And don't be afraid, you're not going to break it. Don't manhandle it, but at the same time, it's not going to break that easy. So you'll just go ahead and you'll just pry it up using another screwdriver or something, and it'll just disconnect itself. Fairly easy. Now once you do that, you'll see underneath here there's this little elbow bracket thing. It's in there. Let me pop it out here for you real quick. And this little thing, I'm not even sure what its purpose is, but it's important. Trust me. Make sure you pull it out and make sure it goes back in the same way you pull it out. So there's really only one way you can put it back, but just make sure you remember that when you follow these steps backwards. The next thing you're going to do is remove the battery itself. This can be done by simply pulling up on the tab with a little caution symbol on it. Now in my case, I'm trying to pull. Keep in mind that the battery is glued down to the inside of the case. So pulling up on this, the plastic thing broke, of course. So I just, at this point, took a flat tip screwdriver and started carefully prying up on the battery to try to dislodge the glue inside. Then simply take the battery once you get it out and set it off to the side along with all the other parts. The next thing you're going to do is remove the screw in the center, right in the center on that plate right there. That's the ribbon connector cover. You're just going to take that screw out and set it off to the side. Keep in mind that the screw on the left side, as you're looking at this here, is the small screw, and the one to the right of the plate is the large screw. You just want to make sure that you remember the order and put them back in that exact same order, or they won't go in. So you can see that by looking how small. Well, they're both really too small to see with the eye. Here's a closer look at them. And I just can't get the camera to focus on something so small. It's just unbelievable how small they are. Set them off to the side. And next you're going to remove the side plate itself. So just use a small flat tip screwdriver, pop it up, put it off to the side as well. Next you're going to remove the top plate screws. There are 5 screws on this top plate that surround the camera. And what you want to keep in mind is all 5 of these screws, well, 2 of them are identical, but the others are all different. So you're going to want to make sure that you keep these separate and you know which one goes where. What I'm going to actually do is when I remove the plate here, I'm going to draw an outline of the plate on my tabletop and then put the screw that goes in what hole next to the where it goes on the plate. It's the only way I'm going to be able to remember. I recommend you do some kind of way of marking them. Another way would be to lay a piece of painter's tape down with the sticky side up and put the screws on them in the order you pull them off the plate, and then stick the plate on there as well. It's the only way you're going to remember because they are different. Okay, after you have removed the final screw, you're going to remove the top plate. Be careful, you're going to lift this up from the top edge, tipping it towards you, and then you'll be able to remove it by pulling it kind of towards you gently. It's got a little notched end where it fits in underneath over by the camera, so you'll have to be cognizant of that. And that's the top plate. After we've removed the top plate to reveal the motherboard, you'll see that there are some cables that attach here up in the center. You're going to want to remove the 3 right cables first. These 3 here, they can be unsnapped in any order. There's no need to worry about which one you do first. Just go ahead and lift up from the top side. Just pop them up. They will kind of just lift out, unsnap if you will, and lift out of the way. Once you've unsnapped them, you can just push them backwards a little bit out of the way. They'll just kind of bend back. This way you can get the motherboard out without them being in the way. And you won't break them, so don't worry. Don't push too hard though. Next we have the 2 left motherboard cables. Sorry, the focus is a little off here on this, but it's these other 2 connectors here. You want to start with the far left connector first. You're going to lift up from the opposite side as the other 3 connectors we did and fold it up. Then you'll snap the middle, if you will, left connector up. The reason for this is because the middle one sits underneath the far left one, or the top one in this view, and you'll want to make sure that you do the far left or top first and then move to the center connector and just kind of push them up out of the way as well. The next step is to remove the vibrating motor. That's up here in the upper right corner. You'll just use your screwdriver and go ahead and remove that as well. And then we will just kind of pop the vibrating motor out. Just go ahead and lift it out. That's what it looks like. Nothing too spectacular. Next we're going to lift the ribbon cable up. It's attached here. We're going to use a screwdriver just to kind of pop it up. And once we do, just work that free a little bit. You want to make sure you don't yank up on it too hard. You're just going to move it slightly out of the way. It's kind of glued down as well a little bit. So just kind of work the glue free, and then you will see that the bottom plate screws are now exposed. Let me get that in focus right there underneath. And the next thing is the speaker connector. This is it's that silver thing up there. That was the screw I pointed to. But the speaker connector, this one you want to be careful about. It's a little cap connector at the end of the wire that connects to a little post that sticks up. You do not want to damage this. If you damage this, the speaker will not function, your phone will no longer work. So you want to be careful about that as you unscrew the bottom plate speaker assembly. And here we see that speaker connector right there. I'm zoomed in. You can see that. You want to be careful. You're just going to lift up gently around the edges of it until it works itself free. There we go. Nice and gentle. Do not bend this wire. Next we're going to gently remove the speaker assembly. Just lift up gently on it It'll basically work its way free as you gently lift up. Be careful not to pry on it too much. It does slip under the side of the motherboard, so be aware of that. It's got a little slot in there and a little thing that sticks out here that hooks around the motherboard, so be careful of that. That's why you don't want to lift straight out. You want to kind of lift up on the one side, the left or top side in this view, and then work out as you rotate it around that post. Next, we're going to remove the side motherboard screw, which is right here on the side. Now, most phones will have a little, that's where the water dot will be, to tell if the phone has had any water damage. There'll be a little white sticker that'll turn blue if it gets wet. You would gently just peel that up and save it. Don't stick it to something that you can easily peel it back off, because you can put it back on later by just putting it on there and pushing on it. So you go ahead and remove the side screw for the motherboard. And now I'm going to remove the last screw in the motherboard up here. It's a little bit different than the others, as you can see. I don't know if you can see that too well, but it will require most likely a flat tip screwdriver. It's a different screw, but this one's important. Some people say it's pretty hard to get to, but I'm just going to go ahead and attack it with a flat tip screwdriver and set it off to the side. The next step is to go ahead and remove the motherboard. You'll do that by just lifting up from the bottom side and just kind of wiggling it. It's glued in also. Glue everywhere on this iPhone, so you just kind of work it free. Don't pry or rip it up, but just gently apply pressure and pull it out, and there it is. The whole motherboard, the brains of the iPhone, in the palm of my hand. We're getting close to being done, so hang in there. The next step is to remove the side screws to the case. That's these 3 on this side, and there's 3 more on the other side here, for a total of 6. Each of these screws has a washer to help reduce the friction of how the side is held onto the bottom plate. Here's what the screw and washer look like relative in size. And now let's get the rest of those screws out. After the side screws, there are 4 other screws in the corner. There's 1 in each corner, and those will have to be removed as well. Here's a quick look to show you how small these corner screws are. They barely sit on the tip of the screwdriver. It'll zoom there. You can barely see that screw sitting there on the tip. That's small. The last thing that we have to do is to separate the broken glass from the frame. That's what this little tool is for. You could also use a credit card or any kind of something you could stick down between the glass and the frame. So basically it's just going to wedge in, and you're going to use it to kind of pry the glass. A little difficult to get started, but once you get started in a certain spot, in a couple spots, it's easier to go. And keep in mind also they use glue. Once again, there is glue holding this down, and that'll come back to kind of get me a little bit later when I go to put the new screen on, as a little piece of the broken glass remained affixed to the glue that was attaching part of the glass to the frame itself. Now, as you carefully pull the glass away from the remaining part of the frame, make sure those wires, the connectors, carefully go through the slot that's there. You don't want to yank down and rip them off. Well, not so much when you're removing the old glass, but especially when you're putting the new glass on, you want to make sure they slip through there, through that slot, nice and easy. Now, a final little word of caution. Inside the old glass there is the speaker, the ear speaker screen, a little metal screen right there that keeps things from getting in the speaker. You're going to want to remove that from the old screen in Digitizer, because there is not a new one that comes with the new screen replacement. So for whatever reason, it does not come with that, so you want to just kind of peel that off. It's kind of stuck on with some glue. You can just peel it off and then stick it on the new one when you go to replace it. That's going to do it for this part of the video. We're going to move on to part 2 of the video, the reassembly of the iPhone with the new glass and Digitizer.